Welcome, everybody, to the June edition of the Community Office Hours. We are joined with some guests here to talk about the support.mozilla.org knowledge base articles. So if you've ever Googled how to do something in Thunderbird, you likely found this site. So I'm Heather, joined with Monica, my co-host, and then Roland is our expert. And Wayne's an expert as well. You guys are both experts in the SUMO stuff. SUMO is the acronym for the support site. So we'll be saying that a lot, and we are not talking about the wrestlers. So
Yeah. Good one.
Do you guys want to share a presentation to kind of set the stage about our topic today?
Yeah, I'm Roland, the one and only support staffer at the moment in MZLA, and we're going to talk about the knowledge base, aka KB, and it's for SUMO, support.mozilla.org. We have to have an acronym for everything. Next slide, please. Yeah, so agenda, such as it is we'll have thanks, because really, I don't think I've personally never had the opportunity to thank on video into something that's going to go out to many, hopefully thousands of people. Thank you. We need help. We have many articles that need updating from the time when we didn't have much staff support like we do now, because right now we have Wayne, Mary, and myself, and we can help you help us bring up to date and modernize all the KB articles. And so who, what, how, and there are backup links in that wiki page, mz.la/tbkb has links, and I will probably add more stuff to it as time goes on, but that's just the backup wiki page for today's talk. Thank you. Long overdue thank you from me. I've been here a year and a bit. It's my second time at Thunderbird. I wrote a script, I got all the revisions, and these are just some of the people. The knowledge base, or KB, is powered by contributors, mostly volunteers. In particular, over the last 2 years, the following people have really helped out a lot. I mean, there are a lot more who've helped out since 2012, when support.mozilla.org started including Thunderbird content. MoziNet, who is Pierre in France, Alice Wyman in the USA, Mark Heigel, don't know how to pronounce his name, Netherlands, I believe, Michele in Italy, Danny Collin in Quebec, Philip in Austria, Matt in Australia, Marcello Gelman, I don't know where that person is, artist in Germany, and many, many more. The other thing is, like, these stats are just from the English knowledge base articles. We write in English first, and then we translate. And the translation is 100% for now led by volunteers. It's like a set it and forget it. It just works. We don't do much. There are many, many many languages. So we don't use the term translation. We use the word localization, and we have locality to supervise the translation. And in particular, the very common Thunderbird users are in Germany, Japan, Netherlands, Italy, France, Russia, China, and other places, many, many other places. In fact, Firefox articles are translated into 40 articles. We don't use 30 or 40 languages. We don't usually get that much. Next slide, please. But big thank you, big thank you. So yes, it's powered by contributors. And, it's a community of staff and volunteers who write knowledge base articles and translate them from English to many other languages. The staff is really Wayne and I. We sometimes are able to get technical staff and other people to write knowledge base articles. Like, I think Heather's helped out with Linux. Kai has helped out with SMIME and OpenPGP articles. And we'll probably get help around Microsoft Exchange support from the people who are actually writing the code. But by and large, Wayne and I and the volunteers, many of the volunteers, write the knowledge base articles. And then, as I said, it's kind of a black box from there. It just works. We go through this process where we write the articles in English, where we approve the articles, and we set them ready for localization. In other words, ready for translation, and they are translated. And Wayne, I don't know if we've ever monitored the quality of the Thunderbird translations. We rely on the community goodwill and the competence of the locale leaders. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
So who knows what will happen in the future? We have this machine learning, which does a pretty good 50% or more first cut. We'll see if we can use that somehow. But for now, it's 100% people powered, and translation is almost 100% contributor powered or volunteer powered. As I said previously, it depends on which article. Some articles have been translated to 6, 12, 18 languages. Over the years, from 2012, when we first started having Thunderbird on support.mozilla.org. Before that, we had it on our own support.mozillamessaging.org. We've had 2,000 drafts, or we call them revisions, and we've had over 100 contributors. And yeah, it's it's just an amazing number. For comparison, Firefox has roughly 14,000 revisions in the same time period. Or actually, they started sooner, since 2010, and they have 40 languages, some articles, 30 to 40 languages, some articles. Oh, and we have 150 articles in Thunderbird, and Firefox Desktop has roughly 400 articles. Next slide, please. So what is it? Like, what is support.mozilla.org/KB? Well, it's a wiki. And I mean that literally. This is not a metaphor. Because sometimes people think you have to make an analogy, you have to make a similar. I don't know. It is actually a wiki, like Wikipedia and wiki.mozilla.org. As I said, we have 150 Thunderbird knowledge base articles, roughly. I think it's actually 154, roughly 400 Firefox desktop articles, and then there's many, many articles. They all use the same system. So Thunderbird desktop, Thunderbird for Android in the future, Firefox for desktop, Firefox for iOS, Firefox for Android, and all of the products that Mozilla currently offers are documented in the same system, the SUMO KB. It uses Wikipedia's markup language, and I don't know the history of this, why it's not using Markdown or why it's using a Wikipedia-style markup, but it is. So a lot of people in 2024, i.e. today, are used to Markdown, which is slightly different. But anyways, we use Wikipedia-style markup, which is called MediaWiki markup to be technical. And for example, a heading, an H1, for those technical writers out there, a first-level heading has one equal sign surrounding it. And then links are enclosed in square brackets, with the link going first and the link text going second. And I always get this wrong because I'm always moving from Markdown to this. And I think I got it wrong until like 10 minutes ago. The wiki page that has the links that that I mentioned previously has a link or links to a cheat sheet for the SUMO markup and a SUMO markup guide. But if you're familiar with Wikipedia, I don't know how many editors they have, thousands. This is straightforward. If you're familiar with Markdown, it's also straightforward. If you've never used a technical writing system with markup or HTML, it can be a little daunting, but nothing you can't learn. So yeah, help wanted. I would like to modernize all the articles. We still have at least 50 articles that have screenshots from before I was rehired in 2023. So I'd like to have all of those fixed up by the end of the year. Maybe a hard task, but I think we can do it. I would also like you to get in where you fit in, to use an expression that I love. If you're familiar with GitHub, then you can use GitHub. There are issues there that you can assign yourself, or that you can leave comments in, or that, if you're familiar with that kind of workflow, that's great. If you're not, no problem. And then some people philosophically don't want to use GitHub for reasons. And that's no problem. We have a matrix room called TB Support Crew. There's a Thunderbird Slack channel, which requires an NDA for NDA Mozillians. and you can email me and we could take it from there. So I will accept any contribution, whether it's an email to me, whether it's copy paste into Matrix or Slack, whether it's a Google Doc, Markdown. I'll take Markdown. I can convert it Markdown to Wikipedia, whatever format works. And I will be, over the coming months, reaching out to those people who have contributed previously, suggesting places where they could contribute, stuff like that. But yeah, I would really like, and we also have opportunities to document the new features in Thunderbird ESR 128 coming out real soon now. So how does it work? You edit a document by clicking on Edit Article once you're logged in with your Mozilla account. You make your changes and you submit it for approval. Someone like Wayne or myself, or a volunteer who's a reviewer like Alice Wyman or Mozinet Pierre, will approve it. And we will continue this cycle. So there's this edit, submit for approval, get approval, edit, submit for approval. Each edit creates a revision, but they're actually, in other systems, they might be called drafts. And then a person like Wayne or myself with approval privileges can make a draft go live. And once it's live, doesn't mean it's going to be translated. That's a separate status flag. Then we declare, once we don't want to, we try not to bother the volunteers who are translating too much. So we try to, what would the word be? Bunch up, put together a bunch of changes.
Yep.
Yeah. Bundle up some drafts before. And, just to be clear, like there's no point forcing the translator to localize something when we've only changed one sentence. And it's not impacting functionality, or it's not wrong in the sense. So yeah, that's basically it. And we have dashboards and things like that could tell you if your changes have been approved, that can tell locale leaders when there are changes to approve. And for those with privileges, can set it to ready for localization. In other words, ready for translation into German, Japanese, French, Russian, Italian, whatever.
I have a quick question. After someone submits a revision for review, can they come back and edit that before it's
Yes, they can.
approved? Oh, okay.
Yes, they can. There's a little pencil icon. We're going to do a demo, a live demo. Please, demo gods, be awesome. Yes, so that's what I do often, as Wayne knows. I'm one of the people who does that. Like I'll make draft number 1 with half of the changes, but won't approve it. And then you can click this little pencil icon to edit draft 1. And then you make draft 2 and so on until you're ready. Then you could submit it for review without requiring it to be reviewed. Like often it takes 48 hours or at least a day or two for reviewers to get to it. So yeah, I think it's a good way to do it. Like do what you can and then build on it incrementally. And often the other case is, for example, if Matt Harris does an edit, he did one for the primary password. I built on his draft and then I submitted it for review. And so because I built it on top of the previous unreviewed submission or revision, both changes were in there. And Matt got the notification that you get a notification when your revision is approved. So yes, you can do that. And I encourage you to do that. Just put work in progress. Every revision has a comment. Put work in progress. I'm going to do another draft, or please do another draft on top of mine or something like that. Or this is as far as I can take it. Please, somebody take this, edit on top, and take it to the finish line.
Yeah, exactly. I would say also that we do that quite frequently. It really is a good way to collaborate and make a better article.
Yeah, so you could like submit for review revision 1, let's say, and then ping Wayne or I and say, hey, can you look at this? And then we could suggest comments, at which point you can edit on top of your draft, or we can edit on top of your draft, depending on who has the time. I hope that answered the question, Heather.
It absolutely did. Thanks. Okay,
next slide. Monica put in some great language here. We have staging called support.alazam.org, and you can test your skills. In other words, if you're unsure of markup or how it will look, stuff like that, you can try it at support.alazam.org. And then you can copy paste it into support.mozilla.org when you're ready. Or you can just use it as a scratch pad just to learn.
What is allosome?
Mozilla
It's
spelled backwards.
a little backwards.
It totally is.
Yeah.
Someone had to ask that question, and I'm glad I was able to answer it.
They use that nomenclature quite often, using things backwards for test areas.
All right. Well, I will go ahead and start with the questions. And the first question is actually for Roland and Wayne. So, how long have both of you been involved with SUMO and kind of taking this role in kind of shepherding it and guiding it and helping others use it well?
I don't know how far back in history do you want to go?
Well, since the beginning of time, I mean, don't go back that far, but
Okay, in the beginning, there was no support.mozilla.org. There was MozillaZine. Shout out to MozillaZine and the work they did. That was the support site. And then at some point, 2007, 8, something like that, Mozilla decided to have their own support site called support.mozilla.org. And that's when SUMO started. And it was initially in Wiki, which is another open source platform.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
It's like Star Wars, right?
It
I've heard that
kinda is.
name in a long time. And Wayne, were you involved at Wiki days?
I do not recall being active at that point in SUMO. I was active in other areas.
So I don't know if we used Wiki in Thunderbird, but
Don't think so.
Firefox used Wiki. And then I think 2009, 2010, I think 2010-ish, Firefox switched to the system we have now called Kitsune. That's their code name for it. Back in those days, we had a separate company that wasn't called MZLA for Thunderbird. It was called Mozilla Messaging. And we started support.mozillamessaging.com in 2010, 11. And then Thunderbird got folded into Mozilla Corporation. Mozilla Messaging got dissolved and folded into, I don't know how these corporate things work. And we merged it in 2012. So we moved the SUMO, the support.mozilla messaging content to support.mozilla.org for Thunderbird. The system hasn't changed much since then, 2012. However, the times are changing, and I don't want to steal the thunder, but there is lots of revamp scheduled for next year of support.mozilla.org, in particular the knowledge base part. We'll see how that pans out.
And we've been using SUMO proper since 2014. We imported what was
Was it
in the
24?
prior
I thought it was
system.
2012.
basically, you all have been here from the very start.
Yeah, that's the answer.
However, we welcome new thoughts and diverse voices and thoughts and ideas.
You said there were about 150 Thunderbird articles, which sounds like a lot. So what are some of the high-level challenges of maintaining such a large set of articles covering so many different releases of Thunderbird?
Well, we didn't talk about this. There's an advanced topic called Show4, which is, I guess, an extension to the Wikipedia markup language that Mozilla created, which allows you to have different, basically it's like an if-then-else statement. If Thunderbird version is greater than 78, then have this content. If it's less than 78, have that content, or else, whatever. Things like that. Very simple if-then-else statements. That's one of the ways.
Okay.
And that way becomes very cumbersome once we move to monthly releases.
Oh, man.
So,
Yeah.
So yeah, that
and once we revamp things, it becomes really difficult. Like, say we had a major user interface change, but we wanted to keep the documentation around prior to that version. So say like Thunderbird 135, we have a major interface change, and then we have all these articles about the old interface. It becomes difficult. The challenge is, maintaining the version, especially when we get to monthly. And the challenge is pruning the knowledge base. Like, we have references to Lightning, which are obsolete, need to be removed. I'm hoping to remove all those by the end of the year.
Thunderbird as a formal community governed organization is in the 2014 range.
Right. Right. So in those times, software features were added without full time user experience. And sometimes the volunteers didn't have time or the energy to document it and or to change. So for example, we still have references to Thunderbird 78 that should be removed, but aren't, but will be. We're about to release 128. So I feel like we should not, when we release 128, we should not document anything older than 102.
I think whatever we want to officially support should be documented. And if something has reached end of life, then it makes sense for that documentation.
It's difficult. You have to keep on top of it. And I know the Firefox team is doing yearly audits of their 400 desktop articles, for example. That's basically the only way you're going to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's the tech documentation equivalent of cleaning out your fridge. It's tedious, but you need to do it. Otherwise, you get scary things in there.
Yep. Yeah, it's like documentation debt, to use a terrible metaphor, like technical debt. But yes.
Right. It would be cool if, once something reached end of life, that documentation, those articles that had the kind of, I guess, tag for that version could be auto-deleted or auto-archived or something.
Because just saying, if anybody from MoCo is watching this and listening and thinks that that's a great idea, talk to us. But next question, which is kind of related to the previous one. So how often are there new KB articles, and can anyone write them?
All articles, whether they're new or revisions to old articles, require approval. So yes, anyone can write them, but they have to be approved before they go live. But I think at this point, new articles are going to should primarily be confined to, like, if we redid the composer, we maybe have to have a new article because we need the article. The composer is the Thunderbird thing that allows you to write an email. We have plans to redo that, right, Wayne? If we redid that, we'd have to keep the old content for a year, let's say, and write a new article saying, here's the new composer. We sort of did that for Supernova, where we wrote about the unified toolbar, but we kept the old article pre-versions. So new articles are rare, but for major changes, we kind of need them. For ESR releases, we kind of need them, like what's new in ESR 128. We kind of need a what's new article. However, as time goes on, and I know we're seriously planning to do monthly releases at some point in 2024 or 2025. At that point, you're not going to have a what's new article for every monthly release or an FAQ. So yeah, at this point, we're going to do, the new articles are really going to be FAQs and what's new for the yearly release. Once we move to monthly, then we'll have to change our strategy.
You talked about localization in your presentation. So what are some of the specific challenges around localizing knowledge base articles, given the global nature of the Thunderbird community? And I know that Firefox uses Pontoon. Do we leverage that at all? Or is it strictly, there's no platform? It's just people volunteering
SUMO
there.
platform has provision for it, which is independent.
Okay.
It was invented before Pontoon, I guess, or at the same time Pontoon was. So they have their own system for localization.
Gotcha.
It works. People have gotten used to it, so it works. However, I believe there will be a better future. Like I hinted at before, I think the Mozilla Corporation that does Firefox is strongly considering, after every English language article is marked ready for localization, and in other words, ready for translation, using a machine learning translation service for the popular languages like German, Japanese, Italian, whatever, in order to accelerate the translation, not to replace the primarily volunteer-led translation. But that's right now just an idea. But I mean, as we all know, machine learning translation has come a long way, and it can do a decent job. I mean, I know that based on my knowledge of German and French, it gets the nuances wrong, but it's fast. And you will, if you know the language really well, like if you're a native speaker, which I am not, a French or German, then it will accelerate your workflow. So I think machine learning in general, it's the same like that. If you're an expert in your domain, whether it's the German language, written language, or whether it's programming in Ruby or Python, it will accelerate you if you know how to use it. So that's what we're trying to aim for here. And the other problem is, of course, that there are political differences within a country. Or maybe generational differences. There are differences. Some people have an opinion on how to translate formality, like du and sie in German. Some people have an opinion on that, or tu et vous in French. And sometimes if that opinion is a disagreement and they're overridden by the locale leader, which has happened in the past, then we have to bring in Wayne as community manager to mediate. But yeah, so those are kind of, there are stylistic differences. There are also dialect differences, but by and large, it seems to work pretty well for at least for the languages like Dutch, German, Japanese, Italian,
I guess
French.
quick follow-up. Is there like a best practices for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there is. And it's copiously documented to the point of being a little daunting reading all those articles. There's a difference between translating strings for a software application, like desktop Firefox and desktop Thunderbird, etc. Those strings are short, okay? Like at the most one paragraph, whereas knowledge base articles and user guides are longer form. And so the system that's suited to doing small strings is not really suited for paragraphs. That's why Pontoon and SUMO diverged. I think they might have this common code base at the beginning.
Yeah, another translation-related challenge is screenshots. Showing the UI of what is being described in the article.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to adopt the Firefox thing where we blur out. So if we're talking about a particular set of buttons or menus, we're going to blur out the rest of the screenshot, which is the suggestion from Firefox. But that makes it harder because these blurring tools, there's no free one. So, and screenshots in general are problematic because we're a multi-platform application. And I would really, much as I love Linux and Mac OS, I would really love it if everyone would just use Windows screenshots for now. Just because it's the #1 population of Thunderbird. So, but if the Linux people want to do it, that's fine. And the Mac people want to do it, that's fine. But if we could get Windows screenshots first, or shortly after we get the other screenshots, it'd be great. But it becomes unwieldy if you have this conditional. If you're on Windows, display this Windows screenshot. If you're on Mac, display this Mac screenshot. So try to move to platform-independent screenshots. Yeah, it's hard because they're in English. And localizers don't always want to do the screenshots, so they often leave them in English. So there's another area that could be solved. You could like automate it. You could have a utility that goes through and does all the screenshots in every language.
Or if we have somebody who loves doing screenshots but doesn't care to write articles.
I never met anybody like
Send
that.
us your
That's super
screenshots.
cool. Come on. Yeah, send me the Windows, Mac, and Linux. Windows, I think Windows, Linux, and then Mac. But whatever we got, send it.
So this next question is going to kind of take us away from translations for a bit. And we talked to some people in the support crew, which is at NDEA. It's
invite only.
It is an invite only, and it is meant for people who are kind of like those volunteers that Roland was talking about, and they start a place where they can come and talk about kind of like their volunteer work. But David from that list mentioned that to him, SUMO seems to be a one-way communications medium, that it seems like the intent for it is more on handling what the issues that users have. But it doesn't seem like it's doing what he thinks is more useful, and that's giving developers feedback on common problems that might even be more critical to him than some of the new features that those developers are working on. And he mentioned that a number of these are kind of repeated problems that, you're seeing over and over. What would be some ways to kind of make that two-way communication more visible to others?
Well, one of it is education. And part of that is anyone in SUMO, whether they're a contributor or just a user, should feel comfortable if they feel they have a bug that is reportable, that they've reported it in Bugzilla as a bug. That is the traditional way of bringing things into the proper location to get developer attention. There isn't like any kind of automatic mechanism in SUMO for doing that, nor would I foresee any such thing happening. And maybe we need to do a little more instruction of contributors in that area to say, okay, if you're seeing repeat issues, it either needs a knowledge base article or a bug report.
Yeah, and I would say that we have a backlog / technical debt of software bugs to fix. That finally in 2024, we're getting close to being above water.
Exactly. We're swimming up from the bottom finally.
Our fantastic developers are beginning to peel the onion away of bugs that have accumulated since before MZLA existed. We're trying to partner with Common Room and Bitergia to have dashboards and automatic reports that would also service this to developers and Thunderbird and Mozilla management. So that's also a thing. We've been trying to do that for years, but I think we're finally getting somewhere. And the problem with Bugzilla is there's so many bugs, and 90% of the problems that people think are new are actually in there. The problem is it's really difficult for a non-technical person to file a bug that developers can action, but it's actionable because you have to give this very intimidating phrase a set of steps to reproduce. You're just like, it's broken, fix it. Well, that's not sufficient. I understand your frustration.
Or at least what you did to cause the problem.
What you did, what you expected, what happened. You don't have to use highfalutin steps to reproduce terminology.
Right.
Yeah, and I have the same problem. I can't find the bug, so I ask Wayne. And then I file the bug, but I try not to file one because chances are, like for, at least I think for Dave, the issues that David brought up, which are good issues, they are bugs. So, but yes, David, please don't hesitate. Duplicates are cheap, and we trust veteran contributors like yourself to file decent bugs.
Just to kind of second that a little bit, I gotta say, before I worked in open source, I was always hesitant to file bugs because I was worried that people would get upset of filing a duplicate. But every place I've been in open source, that's not. People are just like, oh yeah, duplicates are cheap. It's not a big deal. It's better to file a bug, right?
100%.
So just plus wanting that. Okay, well, we have one final question before we'll let you do your super cool demo. We have talked about a lot of things today. We've talked about localization and all kinds of things, writing new articles, the markdown, the not markdown type language. What is the best way for a new contributor to help out? I know this is a very big, vague question. But what's the first thing that comes to mind? The best way a new contributor can help out on knowledge base articles?
If you see a support.mozilla.org/KB/ whatever the Thunderbird article is out of date or wrong, then if you're GitHub aware, you can file an issue or look for an issue in GitHub. If you don't use GitHub, you can bring it up in the Matrix channel. If you're an NDA Mozillian, you can bring it up in the Slack channel, or you can just email me or Wayne. I would suggest, though, that you don't just tell me about inaccuracy. If you could, please give me a screenshot or better text than what exists out there. Because the hardest part is creating the text and the screenshots from scratch. Throwing them in, the Wikipedia syntax that we use is formidable, or it's not formidable. It's a wee bit daunting if you've never used a markup. But it really, after you learn it, it's not that bad. The hardest part is figuring out what to change and which articles. There's usually more than one. So I have no problems with taking any submission, whether it's Google Docs, Word,
Right.
PDF. I would prefer. I mean, this could be the start of a beautiful relationship where you use Google Docs initially, and then we, as in Wayne and I, and the community, nudge you into becoming a full-fledged contributor who understands the Markdown and can make SUMO revisions.
There's another lightweight method which we kind of forgot about because it's not often used, but people can comment on knowledge base articles.
Right. There's a discussion forum
there
for each
in the
article.
article. Yes, discussion and post what you think is incorrect, and someone will pick it up.
Well,
Someone will pick it up. And best if you ping us if you can remember that you added to the discussion forum for each article. So there's 150 articles. There's 150 mini discussion forums.
that's awesome. I look forward to the new contributions that you will get to sift through from this extended ad for SUMO Knowledge Base. So thank you very much. Let's go to your demo.
So support.alzom.org is the staging ground for the SUMO site, and it's uses an old snapshot of the database, which stores all the articles and all the support forum questions. So you can use this as your playground and to learn and just to try things out. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this article and we're going to add some changes. And then we're going to submit it. And we're not going to review it. It's a very short demo. But I just want to go over it. At the top is the title. And then relatively new is this whole product, Thunderbird. You didn't used to have this. When it was last updated, this is wrong because this is, again, this is a snapshot. And how many voted this hopeful? And then when you're logged in with your Mozilla accounts, you will get these sidebar editing tools. So one of them, they're all links. An article just goes to the article. Discussion goes to the discussion forum that we're talking about, where people talk about the article. Translate article, this is the gateway to the translation, the localization interface. And then you select the language to translate to, and I'm not going to go through this. You know what I feel like? If we can persuade a locale leader, like the German one or the Japanese one or Italian one, to go through translations of SUMO KB articles in the future, that would be much better than me showing you because I don't know. And you can see the translations. So it's on staging, so we don't have translations.
Yeah.
But these are all the languages Firefox and Thunderbird support. Quite a lot of languages. Hungarian, for example. Setswana. Amazing. What links here? You can see what are the articles linked to it. You can see the history. But the most important button is the edit article. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. So that's the remainder of this will be about editing an article. So we'll go ahead and click on edit article. There's a search results summary. And you can mark articles as needing change. And so I marked it previously as needing some changes in a review by Wayne. And there's a helpful link to the meta articles about how to write articles, how to use Markdown, how to do screenshots. There's a search engine results summary here, but we're not going to do that. So, and then here is our non-WYSIWYG interface. So we have bold, so I could bold something. And then a preview, there's a preview. And I'm not going to demonstrate that. So I bolded the word, oh my gosh. This, you see that? And preview content will show you that it's in bold, this. And then preview changes will do what to software developers is called a diff, a delta, a difference. And it will show you what you changed. So you can see that we changed this. we do have a set of guidelines, and they're very detailed. It's easy to miss something. And I forgot that I should have changed this. This should be in bold, not in double quotes. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to make that bold and double quotes. Remove the double quotes of unified toolbar and put it in bold. And you'll see that we have markup for buttons. We have markup for images. You can still use HTML tags like break tag. The header, H1 that I talked about in the previous section of this talk, simplified application menu. What other features are on display here?
Quick question for the images, is there alt text? Is that something that can be done?
There is alt text, I believe. I don't know how to show it. I know what we'll do. We'll look at the image gallery after. So you have to select from an image gallery. I'd see if there's alt text. There may not be at the moment, but I know if there isn't, they're definitely going to add it.
Good.
So we have unordered lists with asterisk. So it'll turn into bullet points, these asterisks. There are also numbered lists with the number sign, which we don't have any in this list, do we? So yeah, oh, right. And there's markup for keys, like the delete key here. What else is on display in this? Oh, okay. And here's links to another wiki page, or just like Wikipedia, and double to another SUMO wiki page, to another support.mozilla.org knowledge base article. This is linking to the Getting Started with Thunderbird main window article. And we have external links, which is the square brackets, just like Wikipedia. So these two features,
double
and all of
square
these
brackets for local articles and single
just
square
like
brackets
Wikipedia.
for external.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's right. So we have markup for menu items. It's good to just scroll through some sample articles to get an idea of what markup is out there and how it's actually used. Yeah. So, okay, so let's say I liked it, right? And it's like, okay, I'm going to preview my changes. What did I change? Oh, I changed unified toolbar from double quotes to bold. Preview content will show it rendered. But it's kind of sometimes hard to, here, to notice where you did it. It would be great if it could somehow put it in red or something. I'm not sure how that would work. And yeah, this is how it looks when it's rendered. So once you're happy with your changes, well, maybe we should make some more changes. Let's add another heading.
Is there a way to like resize images to, sometimes
yes, you can resize it. Yes, you can resize images.
Okay, cool.
You can resize images with the image tag. Because often the recommendation is that images should be 620 pixels wide, or the longest dimension, width or the height, it doesn't matter. So you can it's preferable if you resize it in your image editor app before you upload it to SUMO, but if for some reason you can't or didn't, you can resize it. I think you can add something here in the image tag to say it's 620 pixels. And it's in my wiki page, I've linked to the articles. I'll link to the article about the images.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're happy with our changes. Let's see if there's some more changes we want to make. Let's say we wanted to add, and this is table of contents. And we have these templates, which are reusable pieces of text that you use in multiple articles. So basically, this more template says, so that's what it looks like when you write it as a technical writer. And then this more template becomes this. So you can basically do anything. What we've done is put it into a warning. And we have some links.
It looks like that more box, the text should be like an itemized list, but it's all on one line. Is that
But
just
then we
me?
use a lot of vertical space. You're right. But
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
was a
true.
compromise. Yeah, and in fact,
Yeah.
it was kind of a hack actually, between Roland and myself,
yeah,
because we wanted to present information which wasn't otherwise being provided in the support systems menus. We wanted Thunderbird specific information there that we could put at the top of articles. And that's what we came up with.
Gotcha.
we're open to better ideas. We would like to have a conditional banner. In other words, we'd like to have a banner that all conditional. Let's not make it complicated. Product specific banner would be great. So having this
Yeah.
at the top of every Thunderbird article as a banner
Yeah.
would be better than what we have now. But we have no way to do a product specific banner at the point.
Hmm.
Either we have a banner. SUMO has a banner system, but it's a global banner, not a banner that can be used for Firefox only, let's say, or for Firefox for Android only, or for Thunderbird for desktop only. I believe that is in the works for 2025, and if we get something like that, that would be great.
Cool.
There was a lot of collaboration on this particular article. It is a large article, which is one reason why there was a lot of collaboration between myself and Roland. But there was actually 20 revisions, almost 20 revisions in a 1 week period between Roland and myself before we even had it ready for localization.
And it's really nice because I've seen that as, like the revisions happening there and then the conversations about those revisions happening on the support crew channel. And so it seems like there's a good workflow and a good like, hey, I got to this. From the conversations I've seen, it seems like people have been really responsive.
As Wayne would probably agree, when we take the time to engage with the community of KB writers, staff or volunteers, and reach out and mention people in Slack, for example, or in Matrix, for example, or even on the Thunderbird support crew, people actually respond, which is great. So the hard part is to having the energy to reach out and to tie it back. So what I'm trying to do is exactly that, is like for the GitHub issue, since I don't mind if you don't use it, but I'm going to use it. I record what I have to do in a GitHub issue checklist. As I do it, I check off the checklist, but I also link to the revision and I tell people in primarily Matrix that we've done a revision. So there's more than one way to monitor these things.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I'm going to add a section here called New Widget. Here is a new widget. Later.
How many different headings are there? Does it just go as far down as you want?
There's no restriction on length, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah. Does a
Yeah.
H2 have to be
Oh,
under an
depth.
H1? I
Oh.
guess.
Yeah.
No, there is no such requirement.
There's
Okay.
no such requirement for that either.
Nice.
H2s could be anywhere, which is probably bad semantically.
I like it. Sometimes H1 is just too
It's just too much
shouting.
Yeah. Okay, so then I'll just show you the workflow. So when you're done and you're happy with your changes and you've previewed the changes, you'll see we did the unified toolbar and we did the new section. Then you can submit for review. Well, this is where I always forget, but what I try to do is like link to GitHub issue. I'm going to say something like work in progress, do not translate. Please do not translate because people are very eager. There's some locales like German or Dutch where they want to have everything to be 100% localized. And so they're very eager to do it. So unless you ask them not to translate, they might even go ahead and translate it. So I do not have, in the production system, I have privileges to approve, but I do not have privileges to approve here. But you can notify me of any future changes to this page. I could submit it. And then there it is in the history, right? It's revision.
Nice.
279066. And what I mentioned previously, so I have two choices here. Say I'm the next person who comes along. I could say, hey, Roland's changes were pretty good. I'm going to build on top of them by clicking the pencil icon here. Right? Or I could say, I don't like Roland's changes. And I'll start from the other one. But then it gives you a warning. There are newer unreviewed additions to this article.
I was just going to say, does it like give you a heads up? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we generally don't recommend undoing or doing that. Always add it on top if you can of the previous edit and give a reason. And if you can't, like it's a style issue that's just, I don't know what the word is, egregiously bad, or not the best, then please give a heads up to the person.
What about if somebody
Gently.
has opened a change set like this, and then person B comes along, they see the article, and they don't realize that there's a proposed
Oh, that happens
change
too.
set,
Well, then there's
and they open another one, and then you have to kind of merge them.
Yes, awkward. There's no easy way to merge. You have to manually merge them. So I open both revisions in two different tabs or two different windows, and then eyeball it. Next thing I was going to show you was image gallery. Oh, it's here. So we get spam, and you can insert media. Oh, or you can upload media. And that's where it is. And you can upload a file. And let me see if there is, that looks like spam to me. If
you upload a file and then you see it and you're like, oh, darn, that was the wrong file, or there's some
you can delete it,
PII.
I think.
Yeah, okay, cool. You can delete it.
That's the other reason why you might want to blur things.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like there is a description if you go on the bottom.
Oh, okay, nice.
Oh, you mean? Yes.
Yeah.
I think the description has got to be the alt text. I don't know. I'll have to verify that with with Lucas, who is the head technical writer for desktop.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think that's the end of my demo. I don't really have much to demo. It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
Once you get past the markdown. The only complication is what you pointed out, like if you decide not to, or if you mistakenly submit a revision that's not based on the previous revision, and you have to merge those in manually. But in practice, it's not usually a problem.
Gotcha.
But it could be. That would be a success condition if we had so many revisions flying fast. And as I said, it would be super nice in the future. Maybe a suggestion is maybe we could do a localization one with a localizer lead, a locale lead, as we call them. Maybe not, because maybe they're busy. And it's kind of hard to, that's the other hard, committing them to doing teaching stuff like this is, tutorial material is actually hard.
Right.
But it's worth a consideration. I'm going to stop sharing my screen unless there's any other questions.
No, I think that's great.
It's so helpful, I think, to actually just like see things in action.
I'll mention also there's articles about using templates and localization, and also there's a short but nice article about some of the standard images that might be used that can be used for both Firefox and Thunderbird.
Yes,
just calls
like the hamburger menu image.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah.
Well, thank you very much for giving people the confidence that they can go forth and help modify, update the user support articles. That's great.
Yeah.
So I think that does it for the SUMO knowledge base office hours. So everybody be sure to join us for the part 2, where Roland and Wayne are going to talk about the SUMO discussion forum.
Support forum, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
The ask a question, as they call it, AAQ.
Yeah, that'll be great. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll see everybody next month.
See you then.
Or if you're
Oh.
watching this after July, just put on the next video and you don't even have to wait.
There you go.
Nice.
That's right. Okay.
Good point.
All right. Bye.
Have a good summer.
Bye.